This morning, the talk today is the incredible light of being. And I think we can all agree that was a very light, incredible light in our world. Every time I hear that song that he's singing, it's just touches the heart, touches the heart. So the idea of light is really oh, right, we have a quote here. Sorry about that. The quote today is from Howard Thurman. To continue one's journey in the darkness with one's footsteps guided by the illumination of remembered radiance is to know courage of a peculiar kind. The courage to demand that light continue to be light, even in the surrounding of darkness. That really speaks to me, because the idea, sometimes we look at the world around us, and I've heard from a lot of people recently some concerns about the way things are. And when we focus on the challenge, the darkness, the difficulty, when we focus there, what we've done is we have allowed ourselves to sort of drift into that darkness. But we are the light. Within each one of us, there is a light that cannot be diminished. And it's one that we can use to actually shift the energy around us. As we begin to live from that place, everything around us begins to brighten. And we've seen the experience of that many, many times. Since prehistoric times, the finding and celebrating of light in the darkest of times has inspired people. We may have to walk by remembered radiance, yet still we walk forward. The idea of walking forward. So sometimes when things are difficult, or when we feel sick, or we have a challenge at work, or something's not working properly, what happens is we tend to focus our energy on the problem. And while we're doing that, we're not living in the solution. So walking in the light means that I am present with what is. However, I know that I have an opportunity to move myself forward. That as I move through what the appearance of darkness, what happens is the light begins to dissipate it. But if I'm resisting it, I'm actually keeping it running within me. When the psalmist talks about walking through the valley of the shadow of death, it's important to notice the word walk. That means keep moving forward. You know, we might look at the world today and go, whoa, what a mess. But we've got to keep moving forward. We've got to move through that and bring our energy, our vibrance into the space that's currently looking a bit dark, and that begins to shift it. One of the things in the notes today was don't set up a 4-star resort hotel dedicated to darkness and misery. So we're learning that there are dark times. There are times when we're challenged or we have difficulty, but it's important that we not live there. That we allow ourselves to feel it, but move through it, keep moving forward, keep setting a new opportunity that can be shifting that darkness into something very, very possible, something beautiful. And it's a rich and learning creative experience, which sometimes we don't love, but really important that we just live in it. The Taoists view the energy of darkness as the yin of the pair yin-yang. And it takes both to create the world. So when we're looking at our lives and we're experiencing something that we don't love, you know, maybe the current political party isn't our favorite, or maybe, you know, trying to get appointments sometimes is difficult, or right now it's coming up to the holiday season and maybe we want to mail packages to friends, family, relative, and we can't because the postal service is on strike. Now we can focus on the fact that I can't do what I want to do, and that might make me a bit annoyed. Or I can sit back and go, well, it is what it is. Now what? I can look for another solution, or maybe I just save a pile of money this year and only get gifts for those who are right in my current sphere. So we have an opportunity to be the light in the world. Like Gandhi said, if you want to change anything, you've got to be the change. And for me, that is being the light. So what we do, when we show up in a crowd and people are maybe upset or disturbed, we start talking to people, and we talk to them with joy in our hearts and in our minds and in our words. We talk to them about the beauty of life, and we share things. Maybe we compliment what they're wearing, or we share a funny story with them, but we bring the light into those spaces. Sometimes our work environment isn't great. And if that's the case for you, again, be the light. When we go into the world, we have this teaching. We have the teaching of the science of mind. And this teaching suggests to us that we are one with this divine presence. That if there is only this divine universe, I live, move, and have my being in it. And if it's all powerful, I am powerful. If it is all knowing, I have the ability to know. If it is everywhere present, it is being me, and it's being you. And if that's the case, then it's up to me with that knowledge, with that information, to begin to live from there. So as I enter any space, or as you enter any space, bring that light forward. Instead of succumbing to the difficulty, the challenge, the annoyance, the frustration, to take a breath and decide instead, you know what? I could bring joy here today. And maybe it's about telling a funny story. Maybe it's about smiling at everyone you meet and telling them how beautiful they are. There's a song, I don't remember the lyrics to it off all of them, but Karen Drucker wrote a song that is, two people stand facing each other. I stand before you and I see that we are one. And it's a way of connecting with another person. There's a lot more lyrics than that, but it's really beautiful how when we sing that to each other, we feel this energy of light and love begin to grow and expand. And this is what we're seeking. I think most of us would say we'd rather have happy days than miserable ones. And if we are focusing all of our attention on the misery, if we're putting up that 4-star resort in the misery, then we're stuck. But we have an opportunity to move through the misery, to allow it to take us into a new awareness that allows the light to be more illumined than before. And so we're in charge of that. I remember years ago being in a dark night of the soul, and I listened to a cassette series. Yes, cassette, it was a long time ago. A cassette series by Carolyn Myss called Spiritual Madness. And it was powerful because it really spoke about that darkness, that dark night of the soul, and how we move through it. And we move through it by being with it. Instead of naming it bad and wrong, what we want to go is, this, and we want to allow ourselves to be present in it, to feel it fully, to allow it to move. And when we feel it fully, what happens is it moves really, really fast. And all of a sudden we're back into that more illumined place of joy and peace and love and curiosity and wonderment and awe. It's amazing how fast it works. But when we try to avoid that which is uncomfortable or painful, what we do is we end up keeping it around us for a long time. And it's hard to be that beacon of hope for others when we're living in that space of darkness. The Taoist, the darkness is not something to fear, especially to a consciousness steeped in light. Like plants that store light energy, we remember that there is an inexhaustible light within us, always. Regardless of situations and circumstances, this light will guide us through even the darkest of days. So we want to just look at what brings us joy, what allows us to feel really good. And I was talking to somebody the other day about the forest and getting out in nature and what that does. And somebody talked about scientifically, it's actually a very healthy thing, because when you're in the midst of the forest, the trees, they're absorbing the carbon dioxide that you're breathing out, and they're emitting oxygen. So going into that space, one of the reasons it feels so good is there is actually more oxygen there for you to take in. And that, of course, fuels the body and feels wonderful. So spending time in nature, spending time with little children, with animals, these are things that help to lift us and create a greater sense of joy and peace. So we want to just pay attention to what feels good and what doesn't. But what doesn't, instead of calling it bad, let us move through it. Let us allow ourselves to just ease our way through it and come to a new understanding of who I am in the midst of all of this. Mystics experience an increase in light as they expand their consciousness. So when we're thinking about the light, we want to remember that it's an infinite resource. It is within every one of us, no matter what we think about ourselves or what other people think about us. It is there. And as we develop our consciousness, we begin to expand it so that it not only fills our being, but it begins to fill the spaces around us. Light is used in holy places like temples and churches and synagogues and mosques throughout the world's spiritual tradition. Many traditions keep an eternal candle burning. The festival of Hanukkah honors the rekindling of the sacred lamp within the temple, following its desecration and extinguishing by invaders. The season of Advent uses 5 candles, one for each week prior to Christmas, and then one for Christmas Day, to symbolize the qualities of hope, love, joy, and peace. And the celebration of Kwanzaa uses 7 candles to celebrate the principles of African heritage. The light of the candle is a reminder of the light within each one of us. And it's fascinating how all of these traditions are using light. As we come together, that idea of light is so important. We too have this eternal flame within us, and it burns as bright as we allow it to. It's not about a physical light like the sun or moon or stars. It's the light of spirit. And we know the nature of enlightenment. If we connect deeply with that infinite consciousness, we begin to experience that light in a much bigger and brighter way. The light is within us. In our darkest times, the light is still there. Ernest Holmes said that if a treatment where the mind unifying with good could be seen, it would appear as a pathway of light. Interesting, isn't it? The light is not created, it already exists. But we are not called to create more light, but rather to get our bloated nothingness out of the way, as I believe is it Emerson that said that? But we get that out of the way so that the light can flow. We shift our consciousness, so we're paying attention to what is going on. We're paying attention to what's real, and we allow ourselves to experience all of it. We don't leave anything out, but we stop naming it good or bad. And we recognize instead it simply is. And in recognizing that, in acknowledging that, we take away a burden. Because sometimes when there's a lot of darkness around us, it's a heaviness upon us. And it's a little bit like wearing a backpack that's filled with stones. But if we were to take that backpack off and set it down and walk away, what we would soon realize is that it was simply an illusion. It wasn't truth. It wasn't real. It was an illusion that I had bought into. So we want to make sure that as we live our lives, we do things that bring us joy. We do things that bring us happiness. We do things that allow us to move forward in a way that really shifts not only our lives, but the lives around us. So if you're out Christmas shopping or shopping in general, and you come across somebody who's frustrated or annoyed, you have a choice on how you respond to that. You can go, oh man, everywhere I go, people are miserable. Or You can sit back and go, oh, let me just brighten up this space a little bit. And maybe we do a bit of a treatment, or maybe we just stand and feel the energy of light and love. And we allow that energy then to grow out past the boundaries of our physical body, and it begins to touch those around. And we can shift somebody's energy with a smile. Most of us have one of those. Are we using it though? But a smile can change someone's day. A kind word. I was driving down the street a while ago and rolled down my window because a woman was walking her child to school. She was wearing this absolutely spectacular sari. So I rolled the window down and said, oh, your dress is beautiful. And she just lit up like I'd given her something really special. And I gave her acknowledgement. As we go through this journey, as we begin to show up in the many ways that we do, it is simple to say a kind word, to share a smile. Somebody holds a door open for you, we can smile and say thank you. We can smile and say happy holidays. We can smile and not say anything, but look the person in the eye and smile. That's worth a lot. I had a new sofa delivered yesterday, and there was a little bit of stuff that had to be put together. And the gentleman who came to do that was the most beautiful human being. The emanation of light from him was immediate, because when I answered the door, he had a big smile, and, you know, he was here and he's putting little booties on over his boots so he wouldn't wet the floors up. And we had this wonderful conversation about spirituality and about music. He was a sax player as well. So we were talking about music, and we were talking about spirit, and we were just having this wonderful, beautiful connection. And when he left, I gave him a big hug. I felt like I had found another family member. Like this person was just emanating love so beautifully and was such a warm individual. It was a really lovely experience. We draw into our lives the experiences that we have. And if we're complaining and cranky and miserable all the time, then what happens is the experiences that come into our life are also dark, are also in that energy of difficulty or challenge. But when we surrender and begin to love what is, yes, I said love what is. That's the hard one, isn't it? To love what is. But when we can get there to go, well, this too is happening. Let me experience it fully. You know, maybe I'm having a really cranky day. Okay, you got 24 hours. Go ahead and be cranky. For 24 hours, you get to, you know, be miserable, live in the darkness, whatever. But at the end of that time, it stops. And that time limit can be set to make sure that there is a difference that happens, not by accident, but on purpose. I feel what I'm feeling, and I move into that awareness of love and light. We can do that easily. So no matter how dark our lives may be, or have been, or whatever, darkness cannot survive the light. We know that. Walk into a dark room and light a match. All of a sudden there's light. May not be the brightest light at that moment, but it might allow us to find the light switch to turn on to create that brighter light. Darkness cannot survive it. Faith, so faith in anything, is the power that frees and expresses this light, says Emma Curtis Hopkins. So what do we have faith in? Do we have faith in our goodness? Do we have faith in the essence of us? Do we have faith in the Creator? Do we have, what kind of faith do we have? Or do we have faith in, oh yeah, bad things always come in threes. Bad, oh, it's Murphy's Law. All of these things that we go, or, you know, somebody's late getting home, and right away we go, what if there was an accident? And what are we doing in that moment? We're having faith in the challenge, the difficulty, the suffering. We can change that. And the way we change it is to begin to focus on the light with gratitude, peace, and love, knowing that I emanate this beauty, grace, and love everywhere I go at all times. I walk soul first into spaces. I got that from somebody else. I think I shared the story last week. But the idea of living from the soul self, the idea of stepping into life from that energy really does make a change, because my faith is then in the light, in the joy, in the peace. We have faith, period. Everybody has it. The question is, what do you have faith in? The other thing to remember is we tend to talk about things as if they're good or bad. And if we could eliminate that, if we would allow ourselves to stop naming it. You know, if I'm having a day that feels off, well, it is what it is. Can I find a way to simply be with it, knowing this too shall pass? Whatever it is, it's going to change. Having our eye bright is having us mentally focused on the divine as our source and our substance. It's letting go of trying to understand the universe. It's letting go of the things that we can't see or touch, but to acknowledge that it's there. I mean, we believe in gravity. We have faith in that. Can't see it, but we believe it because we can experience it. And when we begin to believe in the spiritual essence that we are, the light that we are, when we begin to believe in that, what happens is our life begins to show it up in different ways. The impossible becomes I'm possible. Impossible becomes I'm possible. And because I'm possible, I can create whatever it is I choose to create. I can create light to begin to dispel the darkness. I can create joy to begin to dispel sadness. I can begin to exude love, which then gets rid of fear. So we allow ourselves to simply be who we are. We've been created perfect, whole, and complete. We're powerful. And so this game that we play of I'm not enough or I'm broken, or none of that is the truth. None of it is the truth. The truth is you are and always have been a miracle in our world. And because of that, you make a difference simply by walking the path. Your path, whatever that is. Ernest Holmes wrote, if one will have faith in themselves, faith in the people around them, in the universe, in spirit, the faith will light the place in which we find ourselves. And by the light of this faith, we will be able to see that all is good. Let me repeat that. All is good. And the light shed by this faith will light the way for others. So as we are being that light in the world, as we're sharing that energy, we are actually creating a space where others could be joined into it as well. So it's a powerful, powerful thing. He also wrote, we become conscious of darkness only when we are without faith. Faith is ever the light of our day and the light on our way, making the way very clearly visible to us, even when to others it may be beset with obstacles and the ongoing rough. Interesting, isn't it? It fascinates me to think about how we journey and what it is that allows us to experience a sense of freedom in that journey. And when we remove the labels, everything becomes as it is, neither good or bad or right or wrong. It simply is. And so we live in that isness. And when we do that, what we see is all is well. All is well. So that's the big message today, that whatever you're seeing or naming as darkness, Shift your words. Shift your thoughts. So one of the things that you could do is to adapt a ritual to help you celebrate light in times of darkness. So again, you can create something that honors your experience and allows you to be that light in the world. The other things to think about is, where can I shine my light? Wherever you are. Do you believe in this light? And what way can you share the light with others during this time of the year when there is more darkness around us? It's dark early and stays dark until, kind of late the next morning. So there is, at this time of year, we often hear people talk about being a little bit depressed or whatever. So let's bring that light. Let's show up and share the beauty of this moment, the beauty that's always been present. Let's stand up and take a stand and be that light in our world. Be the shining example of what is possible. Let us join together in consciousness as we come to the end of this talk. Beloved One, infinite Creator, I stand in awe of the universe. I stand in awe of life itself. This moment, this day is a gift and a blessing. Something wonderful has happened. And for that, I'm deeply grateful. And as we move into this time of sharing our talent, sharing our strength, we do so with love, with peace, with a sense of oneness, having it deeply felt. And in that spirit of oneness, I say thank you. I am so grateful for this day. I am so grateful for this moment. Life is happening through me now and always. And it is in the silence that I hear it speak. So peacefully and gratefully, I release this idea into the law of mind. All is well. And so it is. We have our abundance affirmation up, so I invite you to say it along with me. As I give, so I receive. My good now flows to me in a steady, unbroken, ever-increasing stream of substance, of success, happiness, and abundance. I am blessed. Blessings abound for all as life everywhere. I am grateful. And so it is. I invite you, as we come to the end of the year, your taxes will be happening in the new year. If you need a little help, you can send a little extra donation and we would receive it with love. Everything that comes in is used to pay staff, to pay for the internet and phones. It's to pay for Zoom and mailing things. So there is a reason for your support, and we're truly, truly grateful for it and grateful to each one of you that has found a way to share your good with us in whatever way you do. So as a charitable organization, we offer you many ways to support our spiritual community. You can send an e-transfer to admin@cslonthelake.com. You can go on our website and click cslonthelake.com and you'll get a place to do it there. or you can do it old fashioned and I would say mail it to us, but maybe drop it off because there is no mail service at the time. But the address for CSL is 20 Bonnie Lynn Court, Toronto, M1K 3A.